Today, we are going through how to heal trauma. Very much trigger warning, very trigger warning for everyone, okay? So I mean no disrespect. This is not professional medical advice. This is just things that work very well for me in my personal experience, my life, my clients, and the people that I've been able to help with the same teachings that we're about to go through, okay? So first thing, I want to just state a couple things. Firstly, the world is not one-sided. The world you live, it's like, think of a magnet. If I had a magnet right here and there's a positive and a negative charge, if I wanted to cut, say I came over and I said, look, I only want the positive charge, and say I just cut the top of it, so I only wanted the positive, what would happen? You'd get it would just make another magnet. It would have a positive and a negative, and then I'll repeat that process. No, I just want the positive. You cut it again, and you will you'd end up with another magnet. And the analogy I'm wanting to get across there is, people in life, they live life one-sided, where they only want upsides without downsides, or they want the benefits without the negatives. They want the pros without the cons. And in life, there is just as many positive charges from a molecule level, from how many electrons to protons to neutrons. There's equal amount of charge around the world at any given time. And whenever you perceive something, there is just as many positive charges as there are negative charges through every single perception that you perceive. However, if you are lopsided to a perception where you see more negatives to something or more positives to something, and not absolute gratitude, because true love and true gratitude is a synthesis and synchronicity of complementary opposites. What that means by that is seeing all the positives and all the negatives and being totally okay with that. Like, think of in a relationship, when you first start dating someone, you're going to be very puppy love, where it's fake love. It's like the honeymoon period where the sex is incredible, the everything's amazing, the dates are stunning. He or she does nothing wrong. They're perfect. And then after a couple of months of dating, or a couple of weeks or months dating, is you start to see the other sides of that person. The balance starts to show itself, and you're like, who the fuck is this person that I've been dating? And that those downsides were always there. You just weren't conscious of them. It's like when you pedestal someone, when you look up to someone. So think of someone that you pedestal or you look up to. Is you might pedestal them and you're like, oh, they have all these upsides. They're so smart. They're so intelligent. They're so successful. They're so rich. They're so good looking. And you see all their upsides and you're not seeing the downsides. But again, true love and true gratitude, a real perception, is seeing all the upsides and all the downsides. So when we apply this to trauma, we are homeostatic. We are constantly trying to find balance. Our mind is constantly trying to find balance. Think of when you had an argument with someone, or something like you had a challenge or a problem that like didn't work out the way you wanted it to. I'm going to assume that you were thinking about it afterwards. You probably struggled sleeping. You couldn't process it, or you were trying to process it. Your mind is always trying to find balance. But if you're not allowing your mind to do that, you'll never actually balance and heal from it. Until you can say you're grateful for something, you haven't removed or come to terms or healed or dissolved that problem. And quotations, problem. It's your perception upon that which you call a problem. So what I'm getting at for all of this is trauma, and trigger warning again, or trigger warning for this whole video, is trauma is a perception. It's something you've gone through, and yes, that can sound offensive for people that have been sexually abused, assaulted, financially assaulted or abused or taken advantage of. They've lost family members, they've lost friends, they've had suicide in the family, they've had loss, they've had whatever. Everything that you can think of has pros and cons to it. Greater the pain, greater the awakening. It's like you go to the gym. If you go to the gym and you pick up a weight, when you start lifting the weight and it's really easy, are you getting any growth out of that? No. It's when it's painful and it's hard, that's where the growth is. So think about all the painful things you've been through. Whether it's training, whether it's in the gym, whether it's in life, relationships, or any of that. Think of all the pain you've been through. and think of the strength it's given you because of that. And some people might say, no, this has broken me. Well, that's the story you're putting on that. That's your perception you're putting on that. You're only seeing downsides, not upsides. I use anxiety a lot. I was a very anxious little boy. I was super, super anxious growing up in my childhood. I was very, very socially awkward. I got diagnosed with Asperger's. I have a learning condition. I'm socially awkward. I was very anxious. So that's a downside, is I'm not very good in social settings. I feel uncomfortable as hell. However, that's a negative of it. A positive of it is it made me very, very good at having one-on-one intimate conversations with people. So I'm very good at coaching one-on-one clients because I know what it's like to feel uncomfortable. So I make sure the person I'm feeling with feels safe and comfortable to be open and honest with me. That's a benefit of being anxious as a kid. But most people see anxiety as a negative, bad thing. There's bad things to it. There's good things to it. And if you're anxious, you're super planned out. You're super organized. You probably overthink a little bit. But overthinking's good. When I've got a meeting coming up, a very important meeting, I overthink the shit out of it. So I'm super planned and prepared for that meeting. So there's nothing wrong with anxiety. It's got positive, it's got negatives. It just depends how you want to look at it. And when you can see all the positives and all the negatives, and you've got the synthesis and synchronicity of both of them, that's when you can say, fuck, I'm so grateful for that. So when it comes to trauma, what is it that you're not seeing? I did a session with a young lady. She went to a party about 3 months previous to me having this conversation with her, and she was sexually assaulted. And we sat down and we had a big conversation for about 45 minutes, and we ended up coming up with 46 benefits of that entire experience. The red flags that she looked out, that she noticed, but she didn't listen to. She didn't follow her gut and follow her intuition. The bad decisions that she made leading up to that, the type of people that she was dating. It was a long conversation from a long time ago, and the one that was really the balancing point for her, where she actually said she was grateful for this, is she noticed that the same type of person that got her into the situation that she was seeing was the same type of person, the same pattern and same behavior and same type of person that she's been dating for the last 10 years, and all of her relationships have ended poorly. So was this the painful lesson that she needed to stop having those shallow, meaningless relationships? And since that conversation, she's in a beautiful relationship. She's happy. And she's content. And obviously relationships can change. Doesn't mean that she's going to be with that person forever. But even though that was painful and a very physical, emotional, painful experience, what was the lessons that came out of it? I referenced The Man's Search for Meaning, Dr. Viktor Frankl, incredible book. Went through a concentration camp in World War II. His brother, father, mother, and partner all were killed in a concentration camp. He went through the full experience, had one piece of bread to live off for 3 days, had no clothes for over a year plus. They slept in a room probably the size of my office right now with 50 people, and they had to sleep standing up with their heads on his shoulders, and they were treated like absolute pieces of meat. And he came out the other side of that whole experience with gratitude, with meaning. How? He decided to see the full picture. Yes, he went through pain. He went through what most people would call traumatic, but he was able to control the meaning and the perception that he had over the entire thing. And you have that same ability. Think of all the things that you're calling traumatic, and think of the things that you haven't healed through and you're not grateful for. And we've all got them. Some are bigger than others, some are smaller than others, but we've all got our versions of trauma. And trauma is a spectrum. While I'm speaking of that, trauma can be being sexually assaulted, or being abused or beat up or bullied as a kid, or it could be being the less favorited sibling. Your parents didn't give you the love the way that you wanted it. It's just a spectrum. So trauma is just a spectrum. So where I was going with that is getting clear on what is it that you have not healed through yet? What is it that you have not come to terms with yet? And what questions can you ask yourself to give you the consciousness to see the other side? Because remember, when you're looking up, you can't look down. When you're looking down, you can't look up. If you're only seeing negatives, you can't see the positives. If I ask, how has this served you? Say, it hasn't. It hasn't served me. Well, that means you're not looking for it. It means you haven't been held accountable. It means you're not willing to look for it. And at the end of the day, guys, when it comes to healing, you got to be willing to do your own work. To take it further for people that are familiar with my work, what are your highest values and how has it served those values? How has it made you improve those areas of your life? My highest value is coaching. So a question I ask myself consistently when I'm going through challenges or problems or things is, how's this making me a better coach? My second value is learning. How's this going to make me a better learner? How can I learn from this? What am I learning from this? A high value of mine is my relationship. How's this making me better in my relationship? How's this making me a better partner? How's this going to make me a better father in the future? By asking quality questions, you are able to control your perspective and perception, which will allow you to see the full picture, which will allow you to not label things or have any trauma. It allows you to heal through it. And the point that actually led me to doing this podcast is I find, and I had this little light bulb recently and I just thought of it today, so that's what triggered me to come onto this video, is most people distract themselves and do not allow themselves to sit in their own thoughts. Because your mind is homeostatic at nature. Like I said, it's always trying to balance things out. It's like when you have an argument with someone, you'll be thinking about it because you're trying to process it. If I came up to you right now and think of someone that you care about in your life. Could be mum, dad, brother, sister, your partner, your kids, or whatever. If I went up to you and said, they're always nice, never mean, always giving, never taking, always positive, never negative, always loving, never hating. If I was to say those things to you, your mind would instantly say bullshit and start to find the opposing situations to balance that out, because your mind is homeostatic. It wants to be balanced, but you're not giving your mind the opportunity to do the balancing because you're fucking distracting yourself with shit all the time. You're watching TV, you're scrolling on social media, you're eating food all the time, you're partying, you're drinking, you're doing everything but listening to your own thoughts. This is where meditation comes into it. This is why meditation is so powerful, because it forces you or gives you the opportunity to listen to your own thoughts and allow your mind to do the balancing. Because literally there is that positive and negative charge rolling through your mind. It's bouncing through your mind. It's like when you struggle sleeping. And I've been there before. I've had big problems that I was trying to I couldn't really process. I couldn't really get through. And I was like laying in bed with my eyes wide open. Like, I can't get to fucking sleep because my mind was trying to process things. So if you've got a lot of head noise, which a lot of people refer that to, is that you've got things that you haven't balanced out yet. And yes, again, I've dealt with people with PTSD, people with bipolar, people with depression, people with anxiety, people with traumas. Again, I said from the start of this video, this is not medical advice, and this is just my experience and what I've been able to do with clients, because it's such a touchy subject with this because of I won't get too political today on this video, but it's like a lot of the pharmaceutical companies. They're so quick to say, you've got this label condition, here's a drug to go fix it. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry where they make a pill for 5 cents, they sell it for $50. So that's a different topic for a different day. But if you actually follow what I've just gone through in this video and you start to apply that, and that's when you start meditating, start allowing your mind to do that and start asking yourself those quality questions, you'll be able to do the own work. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing broken about you. You're not fucked up. You've got some perspectives and some things that you haven't balanced out yet, and so do I, so does everyone. But by giving yourself the opportunity to balance out those things, to become homeostatic, because that's what the mind wants. That's who we are. It's you'll actually be able to do a lot of the work yourself. Yes, there's ways to do that, and there's you might need a professional to guide you. You might need more tools to go along with that. That's where I can come into that. I do provide a lot of tools. I do offer those services. But that's my video for today. I hope this helped, guys. Again, I mean no disrespect, because I've had family siblings of mine have suicide attempts. I've had suicide in my family as well. I've had I was labeled and given medication younger because I was labeled with things. I'm fully aware of that life and what it's like. So I've been there. I've experienced it. And the Western style of things of just whacking people on some pills to try I won't get into it on this video. That's not the video for this. I hope you guys got the message from today. There's nothing wrong with you. If you've got some trauma or some problems or things that you just haven't dissolved or healed through, give your mind the opportunity to meditate or journal. If you want to do it like that, pen and paper, and write down the problem or the thing that you're trying to work through. Write down how it served you. Write down 50 benefits. This is an exercise I give people. People are, I just can't move on from this person, or I can't do this, I can't do that. I said, great. Write down specifically the person or the event or the situation that you're judging. And write down specifically what it is that you're judging about them. Because some people say, I just hate this person. Well, you don't hate everything about them. You don't hate the size of their feet. You don't hate the color of their hair. You don't hate the car that they drive. You might just hate something that they've done, or maybe there's something specific. So get clear specifically what is it that you're judging. Then write down 50 to 200 benefits of how that served you. Do that, you'll fix it. But most people aren't willing to do that. What I just said then is a very therapeutic exercise to do. But most people won't do it. I'll finish on this. Oprah Winfrey. Does everyone know who that is? I'm assuming you guys do. Oprah Winfrey, incredible woman. She was sexually assaulted. She was born to a 14-year-old mother to start with. Sexually assaulted half a dozen times by friends and close friends of the family. She fell pregnant through one of those at the age of 14. Gave birth to a stillborn child at 14 years old. Look who she became. Did that hold her back? Did that stop her from being who she became? No. Could she become who she is today without going through that? Of course. You don't have to go through that to become mega successful. But more often than not, if you study successful people, most people have very painful upbringings because the pain drives them. The pain I had growing up of being labeled and socially awkward and bad with learning and bad with people and bad with communication drives me to be a great coach. It drives me to help people. So your pain, it might be your purpose. Your pain might drive you to help more people because of what you've been through, and you don't want them to go through the same thing. Just something to think about. Guys, thank you for watching. I hope you had some light bulbs or some takeaways from this. If you did, please comment below, subscribe as always, share your comments, send this to a friend that you think will get some value from this. I really appreciate that. I love you guys. Thank you for the support. If anyone is interested in my services, I do have a Facebook community group called Create a Life That Inspires You. Would love to have you guys in there. And I do have programs and services. I do coach people one-on-one. If you're interested in working with me, just hit me up on social media. And I do have courses as well. So online courses that go through a lot of the teachings that it is that I do to work with people as well. I love you guys. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.